previously on 5 points of articulation. But of course, what is Batman without Robin? There's a Carrie Kelley in this wave, but she's not the only one. Welcome to 5 points of articulation. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and the Batman is finally hitting theaters. To celebrate, we're showcasing Batman figures, both old and new, all month long. Today, we're seeing how the new DC Multiverse Dark Knight Returns Robin stacks up against Carrie Kelley from DC Direct and Mattel. Starting off with the packaging, and we can already see a lot of difference between the three. The DC Direct one comes in a window box that was very typical of what they were doing at the time. It features Dark Knight Returns specific branding, a product shot on one side, a summary of the story on the other, and bios of all the characters on the back. It also serves as a promotion to help encourage people to buy the graphic novel. The Mattel one is also a window box typical of the era. DC Comics Multiverse up top. We can see this was from the Collect and Connect Doomsday wave. There's a picture and some stats on the side, and other figures on the back. Lastly, we have the current DC Multiverse box, name and logo on the side, and some product shots on the back. And if you're curious, here's the UPC code. Of the three, I have to say that the McFarlane one is the simplest and classiest, and while I appreciate that the Mattel one does have some character info, the DC Direct one is a much better celebration of the story, and also the characters. For packaging, this round goes to DC Direct. Moving on to presentation, and the evolution is already pretty obvious. First things first, the DC Direct stands at 4 3/4 inches, Mattel stands at just over 5, and McFarlane stands at just under 5.5. At a glance, and these figures look very similar. Each of them, for example, has a shock of red hair. Additionally, all three of them have a paint wash to bring out the detail. Even the costumes are all fairly accurate. But then you look at the faces. This face sculpt doesn't look terribly flattering. On the other hand, it almost perfectly recreates this page from the comic. This one looks really different, and yet it also seems pretty faithful to the comic. One good thing that both of these have in common is the glasses. Whereas DC Direct and McFarlane gave her some nice translucent green lenses, Mattel threw some green paint on it and called it good. That said, they got the shape of the glasses right, which is more than I can say for DC Direct. McFarlane nailed this as well. And is it just me, or does it kind of look like she's going to grow up to become Kate McKinnon in Ghostbusters? They all have the yellow cape and collar. Flipping it around in McFarlane's is a lot more dynamic. You've got the big bold R logo. I actually like the Mattel one best. And then of course you've got the red tunic and the underoos. And of course the Peter Pan shoes. This is one area where the McFarlane one definitely suffers. For one thing, the feet are very tiny, and for another, the ankle balls are particularly obvious. It kind of looks like she's retaining water. In terms of sculpt, the DC Direct one benefits by not having a lot of points of articulation. You just look at the Mattel one and all the awkward joints, and it really cuts an unnatural silhouette. That said, despite all the joints, I think the McFarlane struck a pretty good balance. For presentation, this round goes to McFarlane. Moving on to posability, and yeah, McFarlane. In fairness, this was never going to be DC Direct's strongest category. From the top, and she only has a swivel neck. Mattel, by contrast, has a ball joint, and yet she can't really look up and down. McFarlane, on the other hand, has a dumbbell joint. She can look this far up, all the way down, crazy amount of tilt, and all the way around. DC Direct has ball jointed shoulders, which do come out a little bit. Mattel, however, has swivel hinge shoulders that raise up over 90 degrees, and McFarlane has swivel hinge shoulders as well. No bicep, elbow, or wrist articulation, but DC Direct does have a swivel in the forearm. Mattel also doesn't have a bicep cut, but she does have a single-jointed swivel elbow and swivel in the wrist. McFarlane, on the other hand, has a rotator cuff, bicep swivel, double-jointed elbows, and wrist balls that do all the wrist ball things. No torso or waist articulation for DC Direct, but Mattel surprisingly has a waist cut. McFarlane, however, has a dumbbell waist hidden under the tunic. It can twist, she can also hunch over this far, and arch back that far. Below the waist in DC Direct has V-style swivel hips, Mattel has hips that swivel and hinge, and McFarlane has the typical McFarlane hips. They kick out this far and spread that far. That was actually the last of the articulation for DC Direct, but Mattel has thigh cut, single jointed knee, and ankle hinge. McFarlane, on the other hand, has a bit of thigh twist, really crunchy double jointed knees, toe articulation, and McFarlane ankle balls that swivel, hinge, and pivot. So yeah, no contest. Moving on to playability, and this is where things are going to start to get really interesting. First things first, all three come with her signature slingshot. I'm going to start with McFarlane this time. This one doesn't have a lot of detail, and the handle is super thick. She holds it like so, which is a pretty cool effect. The DC Direct one is thinner and has some paint detail, and she holds it like so. It also has actual rubber for the sling. Of the three, I'm actually the most fascinated by Mattel. She unfortunately can't pose like she's about to use it, but it has a lot more detail detail than the other two, and this figure actually includes a loop so that you can store it. To me, this is a game changer. The Mattel one also includes a Build-A-Figure piece in the form of the leg of Doomsday, and the McFarlane one includes a Build-A-Piece in the form of the horse's body. Additionally, the McFarlane one has a trading card and a figure stand. Note that the prototype only had single jointed knees. Also, if you want to learn about Carrie Kelley, pause here. That said, the DC Direct version also has a figure stand. This big honkin' street light. True story, I've actually had this figure for about 8 months now, just waiting to do a review. And the main reason that I wanted this figure was for the light post. But playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. This time around, I'm going to keep it a bit brief. First things first, here they are with the McFarlane Batman. Obviously, the two McFarlanes go great together, but I think they all have their merits. Seeing them all together kind of reminds me of the Batman Who Laughs with his flock of crows. Here they are with Superman. You can just imagine him winking at her after he figures out that Bruce faked his death. For some Robins through the years, here they are with Superpowers by Kenner. Here we have the Silver Age 2-pack by DC Direct. Hard to believe this came out the year before the DC Direct carry. Here we have DC Universe Classics, and most recently, Burt Ward by McFarlane. Seeing all the posability that they crammed into Carrie Kelley, and that makes this one an even harder pill to swallow. Branching out to some other Robins, and here we have Classic Tim Drake, here we have Red Robin Tim Drake, and lastly, here we have Damian by McFarlane. Currently, I'm missing Duke Thomas, and hopefully someday someone will give us a Stephanie Brown. For a relative scale comparison, here they are with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here they are with Stealth Iron Man. While the McFarlane one does have a few figures to put her with, the Mattel version has 3 different versions of Batman, Superman, the Joker, the Mutant Leader, the Sons of Batman, Wonder Woman, and the Flash, creating a complete collection for this Carrie Kelley. For playability, this round goes to Mattel. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I got the DC Direct one on eBay for $17, but it usually goes for between $20 and $30. I found the Mattel one literally on the shelf at Books A Million just a couple of days ago for $20. The McFarlane one, however, is on sale right now for $24.99. They all cost about the same, so it really boils down to whichever one you like best. For price, this round is a draw. This makes McFarlane Toys the winner, 3-2-2. For more Dark Knight Returns content, check out my video on Batman, or check out my Versus video on Dark Knight Returns Superman vs. Rebirth. Which Robin is your favorite, and where does Carrie Kelley rank for you? Sound off in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.